Get this black homeless trash out of my diner before he infects the decent white customers. Officer Bradley Hutchins doesn't just say it. He shouts it across Ruby's diner for everyone to hear. Then he grabs the black veteran by his worn military jacket and yanks him from the booth. The plate crashes. Eggs and bacon splatter across the floor. Officer Nathan Wheeler grabs the other arm. Together they drag him toward the door, his boots scraping against the tiles as 43 customers watch. The homeless man's dog tags swing wildly, catching the light. Some diners look away in shame. Mrs. Catherine Whitmore, dripping in diamonds, actually smiles. What none of them knew was that a 4-star general was about to walk in. And when he saw what they'd done, the entire station would go dead silent, because the homeless man they just dragged across the floor would say 3 words that would end everything. "That's my commander." Ever seen karma work in real time? Keep watching. 6 hours earlier, Derek Sutherland woke under a highway overpass. Day 93 of being homeless. The concrete above him was cold. Traffic rumbled overhead like distant thunder. His body ached from sleeping on cardboard, but he sat up with military discipline. He rolled his bedroll with precise folds, every corner exact. Some habits never die. His dog tags caught morning light. Tarnished from 3 months on streets, but the engraving remained clear. Sutherland, DA 06, Colonel, United States Army. 3 months ago, Derek had base housing, a pension, benefits, and 30 years of savings. Then a VA computer glitch erased his records. Social Security didn't match. Service history wiped. Bank accounts frozen. They promised it would be fixed in weeks. That was 93 days ago. Derek did 50 push-ups on cracked pavement. His arms shook on the last 10, but he finished. He washed in a gas station bathroom using hand soap and paper towels. The mirror showed a stranger with gray beard and tired eyes, but he stood straight, shoulders back. Nobody could take that away. He counted his money. $8.45. Everything he had. The government owed him $18,000 in back pay, but lawyers were arguing about databases. Today he had $8.45, enough for breakfast at Ruby's Diner. He'd eaten there 30 years ago before his first deployment. The place looked identical. Red vinyl booths, checkered floor, chrome fixtures, the smell of bacon and coffee that made everything feel okay. Ruby Wilson still owned it, 58 years old with smooth dark skin and kind eyes. She'd been here since before Derek enlisted. She watched him enter with recognition flickering in her expression. Not his face, the bearing, military posture that never leaves. Derek took a back booth, ordered eggs, bacon, toast, and black coffee. $6.95. He paid $7, got a nickel back, $1.50 left to his name. The food arrived hot. Real food. An actual meal he'd paid for like a normal person. The eggs were fluffy, bacon crisp, coffee strong and burning. For 10 minutes, Derek wasn't a homeless veteran. Just a man eating breakfast. He didn't notice Catherine Whitmore 2 booths away. 68 years old, wearing more diamonds than most people see in a lifetime. She'd been watching since he walked in, nose wrinkled like she smelled garbage. Her manicured hand reached for her phone. Derek didn't see her dial 911, didn't hear her whisper about feeling threatened by a dangerous vagrant. She described him as potentially armed, definitely black, absolutely unwelcome in her neighborhood. He was finishing his eggs when the squad car pulled up, lights flashing, no siren. Officer Bradley Hutchins stepped out first. 42 years old, 18 years on the force, 17 complaints in his file, all dismissed. His partner Nathan Wheeler was 34, 6 years on the force. Learning the wrong lessons about power. They walked in like predators, hands on belts, eyes scanning. They spotted Derek immediately, the only black person who didn't work there. Hutchins smiled. Not nice. The smile of a man who'd found easy prey. Ruby Wilson, wiping the counter, felt her stomach drop. She'd seen this before. Her daughter Maria, 22 and working tables, glanced at her mother with worried eyes. Ruby gave the smallest nod toward her phone. Maria understood, started recording. The officer's boots clicked against the floor with deliberate heaviness. Derek set his fork down carefully, kept his hands visible. He'd been black in America for 56 years. He knew the drill. Outside, James Anderson was about to enter for morning coffee. He paused at the window, watching. Something felt wrong. He pulled out his phone, just in case. Inside, the diner went quiet. 43 people sensing trouble. Some looked away. Catherine Whitmore leaned forward, anticipating the show she'd orchestrated, and Derek just sat there, tired, hungry, trying to finish breakfast in peace. That's when everything went wrong. The morning sun streamed through the windows, casting long shadows across the checkered floor. Steam rose from Derek's coffee cup. The clock on the wall read 8:42. A normal Tuesday morning in Riverside, Virginia, population 28,000, a town where everyone knew everyone, or thought they did, but nobody in that diner knew Derek Sutherland. Didn't know his name, his rank, his service. They just saw what they chose to see. A homeless black man in a worn jacket, someone who didn't belong, someone who needed to be removed, and 2 police officers were about to oblige. Ruby caught Derek's eye one last time before the officers reached his booth. She wanted to warn him, wanted to tell him to leave before this got worse, but it was already too late. Hutchins was already there, shadow falling across Derek's table like a storm cloud. The last peaceful moment ended. The bell above the door chimed. Every conversation stopped. Boots clicked against checkered tiles with deliberate authority. Bradley Hutchins scanned the diner like a hawk selecting prey. His eyes landed on Derek and stayed there. "Morning, folks." His voice carried false cheerfulness. "Don't mind us, just following up on a disturbance call." There was no disturbance. Everyone knew it. But nobody spoke. Hutchins approached with Wheeler trailing behind. Their shadows fell across Derek's table. Derek kept eating but slowed, set his fork down carefully, hands visible on the table. "I need to see some identification." Not a request, a demand. Hutchins' hand rested on his gun belt, fingers drumming. Derek reached slowly for his wallet. "I'm just having breakfast, officer. Already paid." "I didn't ask if you paid. I asked for ID. You having trouble hearing me?" Wheeler stepped closer, crowding the booth. His hand moved to his weapon. "He asked a question. You going to cooperate or do we have a problem?" Derek pulled out his wallet with 2 fingers, moving like he was handling explosives. Inside was his military ID, water damaged from 3 months on streets, plastic warped, photo faded, but information still legible. He held it out. Hutchins snatched it and examined it with theatrical skepticism, held it to the light, squinted, made a show of comparing photo to face. "This looks fake," loud enough for everyone to hear. "When's the last time you stole from a real soldier?" "That's my ID, officer. I served 28 years. 28 years? Hutchins laughed. "Let me guess. Colonel, General? Every homeless guy is a war hero. Stolen valor is a crime." Derek's jaw tightened. "My name is Derek Sutherland, Colonel, U.S. Army, retired. If you just check..." "I'm not checking anything. This ID is obviously fake." He showed Wheeler. "Probably bought it at a flea market. These people always have sob stories." Ruby stepped forward. "Officers, he's been nothing but respectful. He paid. He's not bothering anyone." Hutchins turned on her, eyes cold. "Ma'am, are you interfering with a police investigation? That's a crime. Step back unless you want to join him at the station." Ruby's mouth opened. "Closed." She stepped back. Derek pulled his dog tags from under his shirt. Metal clinked softly. "These are my tags. They have my serial number. You can verify..." Wheeler grabbed them roughly, yanking Derek forward. The chain dug into Derek's neck before breaking. Wheeler examined the tags with exaggerated skepticism. "Could be anybody's. Probably found them in a dumpster. I am a real veteran." Derek's voice stayed steady, but something underneath hardened. "I served in Afghanistan, Iraq. I have scars to prove it. If I would just what? Take your word?" Hutchins leaned close. "Here's what I see. Homeless man with fake ID and stolen tags trying to scam free meals. That's fraud. That's stolen valor. And that pisses me off." Catherine Whitmore called from her booth. "Thank God someone's finally cleaning up this neighborhood. I've been complaining about vagrants for months." Hutchins nodded to her like an ally. "Don't worry, ma'am, we'll handle it." He turned back to Derek. "You need to leave, now." Derek gestured to his plate. "I paid for my food. I have the receipt." "Let me see it." Derek pulled the crumpled receipt from his pocket. $6.95, paid in full. Hutchins looked at it, then casually pocketed it. "Don't see a receipt. Looks like dining and dashing. That's theft." "You just took my receipt." Derek's voice cracked slightly. "You watched me hand it to you." "I don't know what you're talking about. You getting aggressive?" "I'm not aggressive. I'm telling you what happened. So you're calling me a liar? That's disorderly conduct. Derek stood slowly, hands visible, movements deliberate. I don't want trouble. I'll leave. But I paid and that was my receipt. Too late for that. Hutchins grabbed Derek's arm. You should have left when told. Now you're under arrest. For what? I haven't done anything wrong. Disorderly conduct, theft, fraudulent ID, resisting. Hutchins' grip tightened. Take your pick. An elderly white man stood from a nearby booth. Carl Morrison, 75, Korean War veteran. His voice shook. Officers, I saw him pay. He's not lying. He had a receipt before you took it. Hutchins' head snapped toward him. Sit down, old man. This doesn't concern you. He served, I can tell. We don't treat veterans like... I said sit down. The boom made the elderly man flinch. He sat, hands trembling. Maria's phone was out now, thumb hovering over record. Ruby gave the smallest nod. Maria pressed it. Started filming. Wheeler grabbed Derek's other arm. Together they pushed him toward the door. Derek didn't resist, but his training kept him balanced. Feet moved, but posture stayed straight. I'm not resisting, Derek said clearly. I'm complying with your orders. Sure looks like resistance. The way you're tensing up. That's textbook. Wheeler shoved harder. They pushed through the door. Derek stumbled but caught himself. That stumble would be called resistance. That balance would be called aggression. The bell chimed. Morning sunlight hit Derek's face. The air smelled like exhaust and fresh grass. Normal morning smells on a day that was anything but normal. 43 people just watched two white cops drag a black veteran from a diner for eating breakfast while homeless. And 3 of them were recording everything. James Anderson stood on the sidewalk, coffee forgotten. He'd been about to enter when the cops dragged Derek out. Something felt deeply wrong. He pulled out his phone, started recording. Derek's boots scraped concrete as they forced him toward the squad car. His broken dog tags dangled from one hand. His military ID in Hutchins's pocket. His receipt, too. All his proof. All his dignity. Officers, please. Derek tried once more. Call my command. Verify my service. There's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, Hutchins said, is you thinking you can pull this scam in my town. Ruby burst through the door holding Derek's backpack. He left this. These are his things. Wheeler grabbed it from her. We'll take that as evidence. Evidence of what? Ma'am, step back or you're obstructing justice. Ruby stepped back, watched helplessly as they pushed Derek's head down toward the squad car. She didn't know his name, didn't know his rank, but she knew injustice when she saw it. And this was injustice in broad daylight. Maria's live stream had already started. Her phone captured everything through the window. 200 viewers became 500, then 1,000. Comments flooded in. This is wrong. Someone help him. Call the news. Inside the diner, Catherine Whitmore sipped her coffee with satisfaction. Mission accomplished. The neighborhood was being cleaned up. She'd done her civic duty. She didn't see Maria filming, didn't see James Anderson outside with his phone, didn't see the elderly Korean war vet writing down badge numbers with shaking hands, didn't see Ruby memorizing every detail. She just saw success, saw the system working exactly as she believed it should. Outside, Hutchins had Derek against the car hood now. The metal was hot from morning sun. Derek's cheek pressed against it. Spread your legs, hands where I can see them. Derek complied. Every movement slow and visible, his old shrapnel wound in his ribs pulled tight and painful, but he didn't flinch, didn't give them an excuse. You carrying anything illegal? Drugs? Weapons? No, sir, I don't use drugs. I don't carry weapons. We'll see. Hutchins started patting him down, rough and invasive. You people always say that. You won't find anything. I'm telling the truth. Hutchins emptied Derek's pockets onto the hood. Worn wallet with $1.50, broken dog tags, small American flag patch, faded photograph of Derek with his unit in Afghanistan, all of them grinning despite dust and heat. Hutchins picked up the photo, looked at it, tossed it aside. It fluttered to the ground. The crowd watching was growing. 20 people now, 30, phones out everywhere, recording from multiple angles. This wasn't just happening. It was being documented, preserved, shared in real time across the internet. And in 1 hour, those videos would reach someone who could do something about it. Someone who knew exactly who Derek Sutherland was. Someone who was already on his way. The morning sun beat down as Hutchins shoved Derek against the squad car hood. metal burning hot. Derek's face pressed against it, feeling every degree soak into his skin. "Hands on the hood. Spread your legs." Derek complied, moved slowly so they could see everything. His ribs screamed where old shrapnel had torn through flesh in Kandahar, but showing pain gave them power. So he stayed still. "You carrying contraband?" Wheeler asked. "Drugs? Weapons?" "No, sir. I don't use drugs. I'm not armed. We'll see about that." Hutchins patted him down roughly, invasive, humiliating. "You people always claim you're clean, then we find needles. You won't find anything." Hutchins emptied Derek's pockets onto the hood. Wallet with $1.50, broken dog tags, American flag patch, that faded photograph from Afghanistan. He kicked through the items. "Looking for drugs. Where you hiding them?" "I'm not. Just my belongings." Wheeler grabbed the backpack Ruby had brought, unzipped it, dumped everything onto the sidewalk like trash. Clothes tumbled out. Toothbrush, soap, battered copy of Army regulations, bundle of letters. Hutchins kicked through them with his boot, scattering them. "Looking for drugs." Wheeler found the letters, started reading. Private correspondence. He laughed, holding one up. "Listen to this. Dear General Blackwell, I hope this letter finds you well. It's been 3 months since the VA system error." He looked at Derek mockingly. "Writing fan mail to generals? Pathetic." Derek's voice hardened. "That's federal mail. You have no right." "I have every right. I'm investigating." Hutchins stepped closer, menacing. "I have a problem with my rights being violated." "Your rights?" Hutchins laughed cold and sharp. "You're homeless. You don't have rights. You have whatever privileges I decide to give you." The crowd had grown. 25 people. 35. Phones everywhere. Maria's live stream showed 2,000 viewers. Comments flooding faster than she could read. A woman called out, "He said he's not resisting. Why are you treating him like this?" Wheeler turned toward her. "Ma'am, back up. This is an active investigation. Interfere and you're arrested for obstruction." She stepped back but kept filming. Derek reached for his photograph. Just wanted to pick it up. Save that one memento. "Did I say you could move?" Hutchins grabbed Derek's arm and yanked him upright. "You reach for something without permission, and I assume it's a weapon. It's a photograph. You can see it's a photograph. I don't know what I see until I say what I see, and I say you made a threatening movement." Wheeler moved behind Derek. "I saw it too, definitely threatening." They were building their story, creating a narrative that had nothing to do with reality. "Turn around, hands behind your back." "Am I under arrest?" "You're being detained. Turn around or we turn you around." Derek turned slowly, hands moving behind him, complying because compliance was his only tool. The handcuffs clicked shut, too tight. Metal dug into his wrists. Derek winced. "These are too tight. They're cutting circulation." "They're supposed to be tight. That's how handcuffs work." Hutchins's voice dripped with false patience. "Maybe if you relax, they'd feel better." Derek's injury flared, sharp pain through his side where shrapnel still sat embedded in muscle. His breath caught. Wheeler noticed. "What's wrong? Faking some injury for disability fraud? Service-related injury, shrapnel, Afghanistan?" "Sure it is. Every scammer has a story." Wheeler pushed Derek forward. "Walk." They moved toward the car. Each step sent pain radiating through Derek's ribs. But he walked. Didn't let them see weakness. James Anderson stepped closer with his phone. "He's not resisting. Everyone see that? He's complying." Hutchins spun. "Sir, step back. Right now. You're too close. I'm on public property. I have the right to film police. You have the right to get arrested if you don't back up." Hutchins's hand moved to his belt, toward his weapon. "Your choice." James stepped back 2 feet, kept filming. His hands shook slightly, but his camera stayed steady. They reached the squad car. Hutchins opened the back door. Hot vinyl smell mixed with old coffee. Wheeler put his hand on Derek's head, supposedly to guide him in. But the push was hard. Derek's forehead clipped the door frame. Sharp pain bloomed across his skull, not hard enough for serious injury, just hard enough to hurt. "Oh, watch your head," Wheeler said it after. The concern was theatrical, cruel. Derek slid into the back seat. Handcuffs dug deeper. Vinyl burned through his jacket. The cage between front and back made him feel caged. Animal. The doors had no inside handles, trapped completely. Hutchins leaned in before closing the door. "Comfortable? Good, because you're here for a while." We've got charges to process. Fraudulent ID, stolen valor, theft, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest. I didn't resist. Yes, you did. You tensed when we cuffed you. That's resistance. Our word against yours. Hutchins smiled. Mean. And guess whose word matters? He slammed the door, sound echoing in confined space. Derek sat in the heat, breathing carefully through pain, his belongings scattered on the sidewalk outside, his photograph, his letters, his dignity, all left on the street like garbage. Through the window, he watched Ruby gather his things, watched her carefully pick up each item like they mattered, like he mattered. She caught his eye through glass, nodded once. I see you. I won't forget. Maria still filmed. James Anderson, too. 6 angles now. The whole thing documented, preserved, spreading across the internet in real time. Hutchins and Wheeler stood by the car, laughing, celebrating, high-fiving like they'd won something. Easy collar, Wheeler said, voice carrying through closed windows. Chief's gonna love this. One less vagrant. Damn right. Maybe now these people learn they can't wander into decent neighborhoods expecting to be treated like they belong. Derek closed his eyes, breathed slowly. In through nose, out through mouth. The meditation technique for PTSD. For moments when the world crushes you, he'd survived 3 combat tours, survived enemy fire and IEDs and ambushes that should have killed him, saved 23 men from an 18-hour firefight, earned medals for valor under fire, and now he sat handcuffed in a police car because 2 cops decided his skin color and circumstances made him less than human. The engine started. The car pulled from the curb. Through the window, Derek watched Ruby's diner disappear, watched the witnesses fade, watched his normal life vanish completely. Radio crackled. Dispatch asking for status. We're 10:15 with 1, Hutchins said. Heading to station for booking. Homeless male, multiple charges, fraudulent ID, the usual. The usual. Like Derek was just another statistic. Another nobody. Another black man who didn't matter. Wheeler looked at Derek through the cage. You comfortable? Because where you're going, comfort isn't a thing. Derek didn't respond, didn't give satisfaction, just kept breathing, kept his head up, kept his dignity despite everything they'd done to strip it away. What they didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that Derek's letter to General Harrison Blackwell had been received, opened, read, and the general was already on his way. The squad car merged into traffic. Ruby's diner faded to a dot in the side mirror. The crowd dispersed slowly, but Maria's live stream was still going. 5,000 viewers now, 10,000. The video spreading like wildfire. Hashtags forming. #Justice for the veteran trending in real time. James Anderson uploaded his footage to Twitter. Within minutes, it had 1,000 retweets. Within an hour, it would have 1 million views. The internet was watching, the internet was angry, the internet was coming, and in exactly 53 minutes, that internet outrage would become real-world consequences when a 4-star general walked into the Riverside police station and everything changed forever. Derek didn't know any of this yet. He just sat in that car, in pain, handcuffed, humiliated, but unbroken. Still a colonel, still a hero, still human. Even if 2 cops and a system had tried to convince him otherwise. The station was 15 minutes away. 15 minutes of Derek sitting in silence while Hutchins and Wheeler discussed their day like this was routine, like dragging a man from a diner was just another Tuesday. Where you want to grab lunch? Wheeler asked. That new burger place on Main. Heard it's good. They laughed about something on the radio. Made jokes Derek couldn't quite hear through the bulletproof partition. Normal conversation, normal day, just 2 cops doing their jobs. Except they weren't doing their jobs. They were abusing power, violating rights, destroying a man's dignity because they could, because the system let them, because 17 previous complaints had been dismissed, and they'd learned they were untouchable. They weren't untouchable. They just didn't know it yet. The car pulled into the station parking lot. More concrete, more fluorescent lights visible through windows, more institutional gray. Derek was about to enter a system designed to process him, book him, fingerprint him, photograph him, reduce him to a number and a charge sheet, but he was also about to collide with someone who knew his real name, his real rank, his real worth. And when those 2 forces met, everything would change. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and chemical cleaner. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Derek stood at booking, still handcuffed, while Officer Amy Mitchell typed his information. Name? Derek Allen Sutherland. Address? Currently homeless. Last residence, Fort Benning, Georgia. 3 months ago. Mitchell's fingers stopped. Military? Retired colonel, 28 years. Across the room, Hutchins laughed. Stolen valor. We've got his fake ID and evidence. Mitchell studied Derek, saw the posture, the bearing, even with hands cuffed. She'd grown up on Fort Hood. Her father was Army. She recognized soldiers. Before she could speak, the front doors burst open. A man in full dress uniform strode in. 4 stars on shoulders, medals covering his chest, shoes clicking with absolute authority. General Harrison Blackwell. The station went silent. Every conversation stopped. Officers stood straighter without thinking. Mitchell's hands flew to her mouth. General Blackwell was Supreme Allied Commander, one of the most decorated officers in modern history. He looked furious. Where is Colonel Derek Sutherland? Chief Hendricks rushed out, pale. General, we weren't expecting. Where is he? We have a man, but bring him out now. Mitchell ran to get Derek, brought him out handcuffed, bruised, jacket stained. Derek saw Blackwell standing center station. Everything changed. Back straightened, shoulders back, chin up. The homeless veteran disappeared. The decorated colonel emerged. Voice rang clear and strong. That's my commander. Silence. Then softer. General Blackwell, sir. Hutchins went white. Wheeler staggered. Hendricks grabbed a desk. Those 3 words changed everything. Blackwell crossed in 4 strides, face tight with fury. Colonel Sutherland, at ease. Derek tried, but cuffs prevented it. Blackwell saw them, saw the marks, the bruise, the pain. Who put handcuffs on my officer? Hutchins raised his hand, shaking. Sir, I didn't know. We thought... You thought what? Voice like steel. Finish that sentence. Hutchins couldn't. Blackwell addressed the room. This is Colonel Derek Allen Sutherland, served under my command 15 years, 3 tours Afghanistan, 2 Iraq, saved 23 soldiers in Kandahar, 23 lives. He showed his phone. I watched the videos, 6 angles. 45,000 people watched you drag him from a diner, brutalize a hero because he ate breakfast while black and homeless. Silence. Take those handcuffs off, now. Mitchell moved, hands shaking. Derek rubbed his wrists, red marks vivid. Blackwell's hand found Derek's shoulder. Gentle. Injured? Nothing I can't handle, sir. Don't lie. To Hendricks. He needs medical attention. Then we discuss federal charges. Federal death sentence. Hutchins tried speaking. Sir, we had no way... Blackwell's head snapped toward him. No way of knowing what? That he was a colonel? That he deserved basic dignity, which required you to know his rank before treating him human? No answer. Officers Hutchins and Wheeler. Badges and weapons on the desk. Now. Sir, that's not... Hendricks started. Not your decision. You're suspended, too. Federal investigation. Careers ending in real time. Mitchell handed Blackwell water. He gave it to Derek, who drank desperately. I've got you, Derek. Derek's eyes glistened. Thank you, sir. I didn't think anyone was coming. You're one of mine. I always come for my people. Outside, news vans arrived. Hash, that's my commander, trending worldwide. 2 million views. Mitchell retrieved a flash drive. Sir, records. Every complaint against Hutchins dismissed. Every warning ignored. Everything. She handed it over. It's all here. Blackwell took it, nodded. You did right, officer. Hutchins and Wheeler stood stripped of badges, watching their world collapse. Derek spoke, voice steady and dignified. Your job is protect and serve, not humiliate and brutalize. You failed. Everyone knows. The homeless man from the diner was gone. Colonel Derek Sutherland had returned. The paramedics arrived to check Derek's injuries. They documented everything. The bruise on his face, the cuts on his wrists, the tenderness in his ribs where old wounds had been aggravated by the rough treatment. You should go to the hospital for x-rays, one paramedic said. I'll be fine, Derek replied, but he accepted an ice pack for his face, accepted water, accepted the kindness that had been denied to him for 3 months. General Blackwell made more calls, each one a hammer blow to the system that had failed Derek. I want internal affairs from the state level, not local, someone without ties to this department. I want FBI Civil Rights Division, full investigation. I want the media briefed, transparently, no cover-ups. Chief Hendricks sat at his desk, watching his career burn. Officer Mitchell stood tall, knowing she'd done the right thing even if it cost her relationships with fellow officers, and Derek just breathed. Let the reality sink in. He wasn't alone anymore. He wasn't forgotten. He wasn't invisible. Someone had come for him. Someone had seen his worth. Someone had said his name. Bradley Hutchins stood at the desk, staring at his badge and gun. His hands shook. He approached Derek slowly. "Sir, Colonel, I didn't know who you were. I made a terrible mistake. If I'd known your rank—" Derek held up one hand. "Stop right there." His voice wasn't angry. Worse, disappointed. "If you'd known, think about what you just said. You only respect people with power, with rank." Hutchins couldn't answer. "Every person deserves dignity. Homeless or housed, black or white, colonel or citizen, everyone." Derek stepped closer. "I fought 28 years for that idea, that people matter. You failed that today. Not because you didn't know my rank, because you didn't see me as human. I'm sorry. You're sorry you got caught." Wheeler tried his excuse with Blackwell. "Sir, I was following Hutchins' lead. You have a brain, eyes, a conscience." Blackwell's voice was ice. "You watched brutality and helped. You grabbed his arm. You mocked his service. You hit his head on the car. You chose every action. Own it!" Wheeler's face crumbled. Chief Hendricks attempted damage control. "General, this is isolated." "Isolated?" Blackwell slapped his folder down. Papers scattered. "Hutchins has 16 complaints, all dismissed by you. Excessive force, racial profiling. Your department paid $340,000 in settlements over 3 years. This is systemic." District Attorney Laura Bennett walked in. "Chief Hendricks, Officers Hutchins and Wheeler, my office will prosecute to the fullest extent. Civil rights violations, assault under color of law, all of it. To Derek, Colonel, you have my word. Justice will be served. No plea deals." Officer Mitchell stood holding a flash drive. "D.A. Bennett, you need this. 5 years of documentation, every buried complaint, every stopped investigation, everything." She handed it over. "I should have done this sooner." Hendricks looked sick. His career, pension, everything circling the drain. Blackwell made calls. "Pentagon, Colonel Sutherland's records restored within the hour. VA Director, benefits backdated and expedited today. Hotel suite, 4-star, 30 days. 45 minutes later, Derek's borrowed phone buzzed. Records restored, benefits activated, accounts unfrozen, back pay, $180,000. 3 months fixed in 45 minutes. "Sir, I didn't think anyone was coming." Blackwell's hand landed on Derek's shoulder. "You're one of mine. I always come for my people. You came for those 23 soldiers. I'm coming for you now." Outside, news vans gathered. "That's my commander trending. 2 million views climbing." Ruby posted on Facebook, "Proud to have served Colonel Sutherland. Hero. Welcome always. Meals free for life." 500,000 shares in an hour? Catherine Whitmore's face was everywhere online. Someone identified her. Country clubs suspended her. Businesses banned her. Death threats flooded in. She destroyed his dignity. The internet was destroying hers. Justice works both ways. The station had transformed from a place of Derek's humiliation to the site of his vindication. Officers who'd watched him dragged in now stood at attention as he prepared to leave. The change in their demeanor was stark. Respect born not from discovering his rank, but from shame at witnessing injustice. General Blackwell arranged for a car to take Derek to the hotel, not the back of a squad car this time, a private vehicle, with dignity. "Get some rest," Blackwell said. "Tomorrow we start the paperwork for everything you're owed, but tonight you've earned peace." Derek nodded. For the first time in 93 days, he would sleep in a real bed, take a hot shower, eat a meal from room service. Small things, normal things, things that had been impossible. Ruby arrived at the station with his belongings carefully organized. His photograph cleaned and placed in a plastic sleeve to protect it. His letters returned. His dog tags, broken chain replaced with a new one she'd bought at the military surplus store. "These are yours," she said simply. "They were always yours. I'm sorry they were ever taken." Maria posted the full video to YouTube, titled it simply, "That's My Commander, Full Story." Within hours, it had 10 million views. The comment section filled with outrage, support, and demands for justice. The story had reached critical mass. It was no longer just about Derek. It was about every person who'd ever been judged by appearance. Every veteran who'd fallen through cracks, every Black American who'd faced discrimination, every homeless person treated as invisible. Derek's story had become everyone's story, and people were listening. FBI Civil Rights Division opened investigation within 24 hours. Agent Sarah Williams, 38, with 15 years investigating police misconduct, led the probe. She'd waited for a case like this. Evidence, witnesses, 6 angles of video. She found patterns going back 8 years, 43 potential civil rights violations, complaints disappeared, reports altered, body cam footage missing, digital forensics recovered deleted complaints, emails between Hendricks and Hutchins discussing handling problem complainants, messages about making complaints go away. Hutchins disabled his body camera 22 times in 1 year. Each time claimed malfunction. Each time Hendricks approved without investigation. Dashcam videos showed patterns. Hutchins pulled over black drivers 3 times more than whites. Minority stops lasted twice as long. He searched black motorists 5 times more often despite finding contraband at identical rates. Financial records raised flags. Hutchins had $85,000 in unexplained deposits, wire transfers, cash deposits under reporting thresholds. Previous victims came forward. A black businessman searched illegally in 2022. A Latino family whose home was searched without warrant in 2023. A homeless white veteran beaten in 2024. Mitchell's flash drive was devastating. 17 complaints against Hutchins, all dismissed. 9 against Wheeler. 3 against other officers. The grand jury convened 3 weeks later. 2 days reviewing evidence. They returned indictments. Hutchins, 8 federal, 6 state charges, civil rights violations, assault on military officer, deprivation of rights, false arrest, falsifying reports, evidence tampering, conspiracy, theft of federal property. Wheeler, 6 charges, aiding civil rights violations, assault, false arrest, conspiracy, false reports. Hendricks, 7 charges, official misconduct, obstruction, conspiracy, falsifying records, witness tampering. Whitmore, 3 charges, false police report, misuse of emergency services, conspiracy. Trial started 6 months later, courthouse packed, media worldwide, civil rights groups, veterans organizations, citizens demanding justice. Prosecutor Stephen Morrison opened with Maria's video. The room watched silently as Hutchins shouted his racist tirade as they dragged Derek across the floor. Jurors looked shaken. One wiped tears. Derek took the stand in dress uniform, medals displayed. The courtroom stood. His testimony was calm, dignified, devastating. I served 28 years. I defended the Constitution. I expected those serving at home to uphold those ideals. I was wrong. But I still believe in America. We can do better. We must do better. Cross-examination tried discrediting him. Failed completely. His credibility unshakable. Expert witnesses followed. Dr. Michelle Warren explained systemic racism. This represents patterns we see nationwide. Dehumanization of black bodies regardless of service or status. Assumption of criminality based on skin color and economic circumstances. Medical expert described Derek's injuries. Photos shown, bruising, cuts, head trauma. Police procedure expert testified. Every action violated protocol, training, and decency. No probable cause, illegal search, excessive force, falsified reports, textbook abuse of power. General Blackwell appeared in uniform. The jury and gallery stood. His testimony carried enormous weight. Colonel Sutherland is one of the finest officers I've commanded. He represents the best of America. When I watched that video, I wept. Not just for him, for what it says about us. This isn't just about 2 corrupt officers. It's about a system that let them thrive. Several jurors cried. Defense was weak. Hutchins's lawyer claimed honest mistake. They couldn't have known Derek's identity. Prosecution destroyed it. He showed them military ID, dog tags, told them he was a colonel. They chose not to believe him because he was black and homeless. That's not mistake, that's prejudice. Defense claimed Derek looked threatening. Video contradicted everything. Hutchins took the stand. His testimony backfired. No genuine remorse, tried justifying every action. Blamed Derek. The jury saw through it. Wheeler's defense, just following orders. Morrison's response, the Nuremberg defense doesn't work in America. Closing arguments. Prosecution. This is about whether we're a nation of laws or men, whether ideals apply to everyone. Evidence is overwhelming. Justice demands accountability. Jury deliberated 4 hours. Verdicts. Hutchins guilty all counts. Wheeler guilty all counts. Hendricks pleaded guilty before trial. Whitmore pleaded guilty to reduced charges, sentencing 2 weeks later. Derek sat front row with Blackwell. Judge Patricia Montgomery, 58-year-old black woman with 30 years on bench, presided. Officer Hutchins, you betrayed your oath, your community, the principles of justice. Your actions weren't mistakes. They were patterns, choices. 8 years federal, 5 years state, consecutive, total 13 years, $250,000 in fines and restitution, permanent law enforcement ban. Hutchins broke down, denied. Wheeler, 3 years federal, 2 years probation, 75,000 fines, permanent ban, required restorative justice, 1,000 hours community service with homeless veterans. Hendricks, 18 months federal, 100,000 fines, loss of 1.2 million pension, permanently barred from public office. Whitmore, 6 months house arrest, 200 hours community service with veterans, 10,000 fine donated to veteran services, required public apology, mandatory bias training. Riverside PD under federal consent decree. 5 years DOJ oversight. New Chief Keisha Williams, black woman and veteran, Civilian Oversight Board, mandatory quarterly bias training. Body cameras always required, early warning system, community policing. Virginia governor signed reform, Colonel Sutherland Police Accountability Act, statewide complaint database, banned chokeholds and no-knock warrants, enhanced protections for homeless, special protections for veterans, mandatory veteran training, congressional hearings on VA failures, emergency funding, dedicated case managers for homeless veterans, expedited appeals, outreach programs, Blackwell appointed to advisory board. Derek's case became catalyst. Federal legislation proposed, Veterans Dignity Protection Act. National conversation on police accountability. Veterans groups saw donation surges. #That's My Commander became a movement. Real change was happening. The reform spread beyond Riverside. Neighboring police departments adopted new policies voluntarily, not wanting to become the next viral case. Body camera usage increased nationwide. Civilian oversight boards were established in 12 additional cities within 6 months. The Colonel Sutherland Police Accountability Act became a model for other states. 3 more states passed similar legislation within the year. Congressional representatives cited Derek's case in floor speeches advocating for federal police reform. The VA, embarrassed by the publicity, implemented emergency protocols to prevent record loss incidents. They hired additional staff to handle homeless veteran cases, created a hotline specifically for veterans facing bureaucratic delays. General Blackwell's appointment to the advisory board ensured military voices were heard in policy decisions. Derek's case was taught at police academies nationwide, not as an example of what to do, but as a cautionary tale of what happens when officers forget their oath. The videos were shown in training sessions, discussions focused on implicit bias, de-escalation, and the importance of treating every person with dignity. Veterans organizations used Derek's story in fundraising campaigns. Donations to homeless veteran services increased by 40% nationally. Volunteers signed up in record numbers. The crisis of veteran homelessness finally had the national attention it deserved. Maria's documentary about the case won awards. James Anderson was recognized by civil rights organizations for his bravery in filming. Ruby's Diner became a pilgrimage site for people wanting to support the place that had supported Derek. The ripples from that Tuesday morning in Riverside continued spreading outward, touching lives and changing systems in ways nobody could have predicted. 6 months later, Derek stood before a brick building. New sign, Sutherland House, Veterans Outreach Center. His pension restored, $180,000 in back pay, monthly checks of $6,500. He'd purchased a modest house, stayed in Riverside intentionally. His home displayed military commendations with pride, photos from Afghanistan in place of honor. The Medal of Valor Hutchins mocked, now framed with other decorations. Guest rooms for veterans in transition. American flag flew in the backyard. Derek didn't retire. He redefined service. Sutherland House became his mission, helping homeless veterans navigate VA bureaucracy, finding housing, accessing benefits. He partnered with Ruby's Diner, providing free meals, created emergency fund for immediate assistance. Derek helped 3 to 5 veterans weekly, spoke at police academies about dignity and respect. Ruby's Diner expanded its wall of honor, added Derek's photo in uniform, medals displayed. Plaque read, Colonel Derek A. Sutherland, service, sacrifice, resilience, justice. Another plaque. That's my commander. Every person has a story worth hearing. The diner became a healing gathering place. Weekly veterans breakfast free. Maria managed it. Continuing activism. Riverside transformed. Community police relationships improving. Citizen advisory board met monthly. Complaints down 73%. Officer demographics reflected community. Chief Williams implemented community policing. Annual Colonel Sutherland Day on March 15th. High school scholarship named after Derek. Town Square Memorial, the Dignity Monument. Maria's video reached 15 million views. Used in journalism schools, she won national awards. Now worked for Washington Post covering civil rights. James Anderson's footage used in police training. Both became advocates. General Blackwell testified before Congress multiple times, established foundation supporting homeless veterans. His friendship with Derek deepened. They spoke weekly. His quote, "Derek saved my soldiers in combat. I returned the favor stateside, but he's saving more lives now than in uniform." At Sutherland House ribbon cutting, Derek addressed 500 people. 6 months ago, I was handcuffed, beaten, dehumanized. Today, I stand as reminder. Every person has inherent worth. Every human deserves dignity. I spent 28 years defending American ideals, equality, justice, liberty. When I fell through cracks, I discovered the distance between ideals and reality. Millions live in that gap daily. The homeless, the working poor, people of color, veterans. What happened wasn't special. It happens every day. The difference? I had a general who walked in. People with cameras who refused to look away. A community that said enough. But everyone deserves that protection, whether a general knows them or not. Real patriotism isn't waving flags, it's making flags stand for truth. Real justice isn't punishing bad cops, it's dismantling systems protecting them. Real service doesn't end with uniforms. It begins when you ensure no one else suffers what you suffered. Later, Derek helped young veteran Tony Harris, 29, Iraqi war vet, lost in bureaucracy. "I know where you are. I've been there. I'll make sure you don't stay there." 2 weeks later, Tony had housing, benefits, job interview. "Colonel Sutherland gave me back my dignity." 15 million video views, 2.3 million raised for veterans, 128 police departments adopted training, 43 veterans helped by Derek. One system changed. Countless hearts changed. Colonel Sutherland's story could have ended at that diner, another forgotten veteran, but it didn't, because people refused to look away, Maria recorded. James spoke up. Ruby protected dignity. Blackwell came for his soldier. Derek transformed pain into purpose. If this moved you, share it. Spark conversations, support veterans, donate, volunteer, demand accountability, contact representatives, be a witness, record injustice. Follow this channel for justice stories. Subscribe. Comment. Have you witnessed injustice? What did you do? Derek wore the uniform 28 years defending freedom. When he needed defending, ordinary people with phones saved him. Those officers saw a homeless black man and saw nothing worth respecting. They missed the colonel, the hero, the human. In the moment that matters, when you see injustice, dehumanization, abuse of power, what will you be? Like Whitmore making false complaints, like Hutchins abusing power, like bystanders doing nothing, or like Maria recording, like James speaking, like Ruby protecting, like Blackwell coming, like Derek transforming trauma. We don't need more generals. We need more witnesses, more people refusing to look away. Every person has a story, every human has worth, every one of us has power to defend truth. The only question, will you? Final visual. Derek and Tony walking into Sutherland House, flag waving, more veterans arriving, fade to black. That's my commander. True strength isn't surviving injustice, it's ensuring others don't have to. Share, demand better, be better.